Hello to all modelers! Today I would like to show you in a little more detail how to spray the camouflage on the model. We will also look at the basic airbrush work. To show more techniques, I have chosen aircraft models in two different types of Luftwaffe camouflage. From my drawer, I pulled out two Messerschmitty Bf 108 Taifun in 1/48 scale by Eduard. I have built the models for more than 10 years, but I haven't got to spray the camouflage yet due to other more important projects. I finished the build by spraying the surface with surfacer. The time has finally come. I also got my hands on an airbrush from Gaahleri. I have seen many reviews on the internet, but most reviewers have sprayed lines with it on a piece of paper, where the paint behaves completely differently than on the model. The basic package includes replacement gaskets, a quick disconnect adapter, and oil to lubricate the mechanical parts. I was quite pleased with this, as I am sure the gasket replacement will happen at some point, so we don't have to look for spare parts. There are two types of nozzles and needles in airbrush. The most common are screw-in nozzles with precision fine needles. This type is also found in the high-quality airbrush. They can be used to spray the finest details, but are more difficult to maintain. Replacing the gasket under the nozzle is quite challenging, and if you fail to screw the nozzle back on correctly, it may protrude too much or too little and will degrade the spray quality. Sometimes it happens that the nozzle is out of alignment and the paint flow is then uneven. Also, the sharply ground tip of the needle is prone to damage, bending. If you take care of the airbrush gently, you don't have a problem. I am a little messy. That's why I have recently been liking airbrush with a self-centering nozzle. The nozzle is massive, and when inserted into the airbrush, it centers itself. Also, the needle is more solid and sharpened in stages. Easy to maintain, mechanically durable, ideal for me. Gaahleri Mobius airbrush also has a self-centering nozzle and step-ground needle. I have a model with a 0.2 mm nozzle. An interesting feature on the nozzle is the ducts for the air ducting to the nozzle. This is the second criterion of the airbrush. Ordinary airbrushes have a single hole for the air to go to the nozzle. The better guns have more holes so that the air reaches the nozzle smoothly all around. The grooves on the Mobius airbrush nozzle should spread the air smoothly around the circumference of the nozzle. Good idea, let's see how it works. Of course, there is a needle stop and the fine air regulation. But now, let's get to work. The first Taifun is in a pre-war 4-color camouflage with a sharply divided camouflage field. I used GSI Mr. Color series paints, thinned with a leveling thinner from the same company. I started with the lower surfaces in RLM 65. I am used to mixing the paint directly in the cup of the airbrush. I pour the thinner first and then add a paint with the brush. I apply the paint with a low flow and gradually color each part. I dilute the rest of the paint into airbrush and add a color to lighten it. With blue, it can be white. Be careful, not all shades are good to use white to lighten. It is a good idea to use so-called color wheel, a palette for mixing colors. I then shade the areas with a lighter color. It's up to each of you how you want to play with the shading. I mask the lower surfaces with Tamiya tape. To reduce the grip, I stick the tape on the palm first and then on the model. On the upper surfaces, I paint the camouflage parts in the lightest shade in the same way. Then I mask the bright field according to the instructions. Finally, I spray the other shades of camouflage in the same way. Of course, we will not forget about the shading. After removing the masks, paint the model with gloss varnish. If there is a noticeable edge somewhere, we can sand it slightly and then repaint the area again. Now we have a surface ready for decals. A little while ago, I showed you a camouflage with a sharp color interface. If we want a smooth transition of colors, we can use a piece of paper attached to the surface with an adhesive rubber. It is important to keep the airbrush pointed perpendicular to the model. Or form a roll of sticky rubber and spray over it. Here, we have to watch the position of the airbrush perpendicular to the model too. Of course, we can spray the transition by freehand, but here it wants to have a good experience with the airbrush. The second Taifun will be in desert camouflage. I spray the lower surfaces with RLM 78. I used a roll of sticky rubber here to indicate a smooth transition of colors. I mixed the shade of the upper surfaces of RLM 79 by myself. Again, we will not forget to shade. To spray stains of fine streaks, I add a mist retarder mild to the paint thinner to slow down the drying of the paint. Just a few drops, then I just add the paint. Even when using a retarder, the paint on the nozzle may dry after a long spraying period. I occasionally wash the nozzle with a brush dipped in the thinner while working. spray the surface again with the glossy varnish to prepare the surface for decals. I rinse the airbrush with a thinner or acetone between each color. After finishing the model, I use acetone to clean again and wash the parts properly with the brush. Then I rinse again. Once in a while, it is necessary to disassemble the airbrush and clean it and let the parts dry. After reassembly, I then lightly lubricate the mechanical part. Attention! You must not get lubricant into places where air or paint flows. I do a deep cleaning of the airbrush about twice a year, usually after spraying 4 to 6 models. Mobius airbrush from Gaahleri is very decent for the price of around $85. I recommend it for beginners as well as experienced modelers. I am personally a little bothered by the narrow paint cap, otherwise I have had no problem with the airbrush. But it is just not in the airbrush. It is also important to find the ratio between the paint density and the air pressure. And the most important thing is training. Even with the best airbrush, you may not get it right on the first try. Thank you for watching, and next time we can show in more detail the patination procedures or perhaps spraying the model in natural metal finish. I will be very happy for every like, subscription or comment. Thank you so much everyone. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.